It's Hyp3r Halloween.
Let's talk about a movie that goes by many names. Today's topic was originally titled Orgy of the Blood Parasites, then filmed with the name The Parasite Murders, then They Came From Within, and then ultimately Shivers. To add another one, the original script title was called Blood Parasites. This movie is also called Frisians in the French-Canadian region. Regardless about the titles, Shivers is a 1975 film that was written and directed by David Cronenberg, and was his third film overall. Apparently the naming convention was pretty tough for Cronenberg, and Shivers was the best he had that didn't feel too cumbersome. I mean, I get that, I'm bad at naming things myself. I prefer some of the other titles, but Shivers does leave what's going to happen to the viewer's imagination. Overall, Shivers received mixed reviews, but gained a cult following years later. As with most Cronenberg films, Shivers features its fair share of body horror. Shivers also has a lot of sexual and violent content as well, sometimes even at the same time. And, well, that sounds like a doozy, so let's talk about the plot a little. As the alternate title suggests, the movie revolves around parasites that cause their hosts to become violent and apparently very horny. The movie takes place in Starliner Towers, an apartment complex. There's an interesting cast of characters there, including a medical researcher named Hobbs. Hobbs was researching and developing a parasite that could take the place of a human organ. Sounds good in practice, but our boy Hobbs decided he wanted the parasite to act as an aphrodisiac and spread like an STD. I mean, sure, why not? Apparently Hobbs' goal was to turn the whole world into a beautiful, mindless orgy. And yes, that's a direct quote. And I guess by the end of the movie, you could say that Hobbs succeeded. We follow Roger as he uncovers the truth about what is going on within the apartments, but by that time, it's too late. Pretty much the entire building becomes infected with the parasite, and the hosts want to spread it to others. Here's your spoiler warning. Roger doesn't even make it out of the apartment, as he's swarmed by infected towards the end of the movie. In fact, the last scene shows Roger and several other tenants leaving the apartment complex the following day in order to spread the parasite further. While the premise is pretty far out there, the execution is pretty good. The parasites are revolting, and I felt myself cringe when they moved around inside of people's bodies. The way they crawl around is also really gross. I winced every time they got near one of the tenants because of the way they attacked. Now, when I say revolting and cringe, I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way. These things fulfilled their purpose of looking disgusting and keeping me on the edge of my seat as they approached the tenants of the apartment. I found myself rooting for Roger as he discovers the parasite and tries to save who he can and attempt to fix things. The movie isn't without its flaws though. There are a lot of characters that are introduced just to get infected and then are hardly mentioned again. It's okay for some random throwaway characters, but the movie focuses on some characters and doesn't mention them after they were infected. It's a weird choice, but it does help increase the body count, if you want to call it that. The death count is also pretty low. The main purpose of the parasite is to spread, so it makes sense that it wouldn't kill its victim. In the long run, it's an interesting film and an original premise at the time. The creatures definitely have that Cronenberg look to them that he's known for. That being said, Shivers is not a movie for everyone given the sexual violence that is implied and or occurs on screen. If you're feeling up to a zombie-like film with a bit of a twist this Halloween, give Shivers a try.